Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 8. Today is the day. The Walking Dead Season 8 trailer has been released. I've watched it a couple of times, and I have to say I am so excited for Season 8 to premiere on October 22nd. It's going to be exciting. I think the trailer really did a great job of getting that excitement back for The Walking Dead. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I observed, some of the stories that I think are being told in this trailer, what it's going to mean for the premiere, and maybe some of the first episodes. So this will just be, again, my first impression. I'm not going to talk about every single scene. I hope to watch the trailer a couple more times and do a little more of a detailed review as the weeks go by. If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead, either the television show or the comics, this video will contain spoilers from both. So if you're not caught up on the latest editions of either the TV or the comics, exit now or you will be spoiled. Okay. So again, overall, I think the trailer really does a great job of showing the action-packed season that we hope Season 8 to be. Season 7, again, every season of The Walking Dead, I think has had its good points and its bad points. No different than any other show. And I think that Season 7, while it did have some great acting, while I enjoyed having the extended villain, I didn't like some of the facts of, the group constantly being down, that it took them so long to get their drive back, to want to survive, to fight, to do things. That was the one thing I didn't like. So what I really like is that this trailer makes it that they're more ready for a fight. It's action-packed, and I can't wait to see what happens. Now, one of the very first scenes in the trailer is Gabriel, actually. He's in a dark room. You hear walkers outside, and then you hear Negan. And Negan asks Gabriel, "Are you wearing your crapping pants?" And Gabriel's like, "What?" And Negan asks him again, "Are you wearing your crapping pants?" Because it's about to get crazy. So it appears that Gabriel has been taken prisoner by the Saviors. Where is he at? I'm going to guess the Sanctuary, and I do have a prediction for what I think happened to him and how he got there, but I'm going to talk about that a little later, so stay tuned real quick. I'm going to review some of the other scenes. Now, most of the scenes after that, for the first minute or so after that, there's no vocals, nobody's talking, there's no dialogue, nothing. It's really just a bunch of scenes of the group either hiding or building up various blockades or something like that. There are various scenes of people sitting on a bridge. They're looking over and there's walkers walking under it. You see Daryl on his motorcycle and there's walkers behind him. You see Aaron at one point, he's got blood on his hands, looking distraught. You see Tara moving on some kind of a vehicle. It looks like she's moving. She's taking her gun and she's pretending to shoot at either walkers or targets or something. She's just playing around like she normally does. We see a couple of scenes where Carl's looking through cars. Daryl's looking at a pistol that has notches on it, like how many people somebody might have killed. Carol's looking at, in a hallway that's blinking, and there looks like a laboratory or a school. Could be the Sanctuary. I don't know. And also you see Aaron moving some barricaded car with, these side panels on it. You also see somebody sawing through rope. And it looks like Carl, his hands are behind his back. The shirt just looks familiar to Carl, so I'm going to assume that for now, but it could be somebody else. So it's really, various different scenes of people either preparing for something that's going to happen or something has already happened and they're showing their reaction. Then a convoy of trucks comes to the hilltop. It comes to the hilltop, and you actually see people from the hilltop standing outside, Maggie, Jesus, some of the other people. You do see Gregory, and he has this smug look on his face. So I'm going to assume that at some point he goes to the Sanctuary, might have his meeting with, Simon or somebody else, and it doesn't go well. But everybody's back, but you don't see any of that, just to clarify. And Rick and Maggie give speeches at different times, and while they're doing that, you see other people getting ready for fights. They're like surrounding doors, surrounding, gates, something like that. And mostly Rick's speech has to do with, when Jesus first introduced himself, he said that the world was going to get a whole lot bigger for me. I believe that. It's true. We found each other. We have a right to this world just by being survivors. And you know what? For people who use us, who try to take things from us or kills us, they need to be ended. No matter what happens next, we've already won. So in a sense, we see this group, they become motivated. They're tired of Negan's, behavior, his actions. They would rather die fighting than be under his thumb forever. So we see this drive to get the group back and ready. So Maggie's speech is somewhat similar to that, just basically saying we need to stay together. I can't remember hers off the top of my head, but I will go back and review that for a later video. And then the rest of the trailer is really, action-packed for the most part. You see various scenes of individuals, getting ready for battle, or there's shooting at something. Sometimes it involves walkers. Sometimes it involves, people from the sanctuary, people from the kingdom, Hilltop, Alexandria, just various different battle scenes throughout. So again, I know this is going to be quite the season of action. I'm really confident of that. Now, I think I predicted some of the things that might be happening, where these battles are taking place, what it all means. The first thing I'm going to do is refer to the comic books. Now, one of the main battles that happens in the comic books during All Out War or the War Against the Saviors is that Rick and the rest of the group actually do something that I don't think was expected of them by Negan. I think that really what they're hoping is that their plan is going to be what Negan least expects. And that is they take the battle right to the sanctuary. I mean, the group's already outnumbered by the Saviors. We know that. But they take it there. And what they end up doing is they use these walkers. They actually do a little bit of fighting, but they bring these walkers. The walkers are intended to go through the gates and just go into the sanctuary. And then the hope is, well, the walkers will finish off the Saviors. And that way we can minimize our damage and the war can be over in one fell swoop. So that's what they were hoping. And that's what I think is one of the big plans that they are doing right now. And I think that's going to be a big plot line for the season premiere. One of those hints is you see Daryl at various times in the trailer. He's on his bike. Walkers are behind him on a couple of these scenes. He's riding along and he's shooting at these targets that explode. So maybe gas tanks, dynamite, you don't know, but they explode. And my guess is that he is using those to lead the walkers, or somebody else, you never know. But I think that he is going to be leading walkers to the sanctuary. And I think you also see a scene where Rosita and Michonne are actually in a car. And I do wonder if they are going to do something very similar to what they did in the season 6 premiere, as well as if it's those same walkers. If you remember in season 6, Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl took walkers away from the quarry so that way they wouldn't attack Alexandria. And some of those walkers ended up going, as far as where Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham took them, and the rest broke off and went back to Alexandria and they had to fight them. Well, I think they're actually going into that area where those walkers are. They're going to find them, and those are the walkers they're going to use to attack the sanctuary. So I think that storyline is going to play out in the season premiere. Further evidence of this, Aaron at one point in the trailer says to somebody, we pin them in, the rest takes care of itself, something like that. So that further indicates to me they are going to use that plan from the comic books, that they're going to bring walkers there, they're going to let the walkers break through the fences, and then that way it hopefully will take care of the Saviors and the war will be over, or at least be a big hit to the Saviors. Obviously, something's going to go wrong. It's not going to take them all out. We know that for a fact. And I think that it's also going to be why Gabriel gets kidnapped, because I think that what's going to happen is in the comic books, the hope was that the gates were going to fall. They didn't. So Rick was intending to actually break through the gates, but instead Holly does it so that way Rick could be spared. I think Gabriel's going to do it for whatever reason, whether to make up for some of his sins, to protect Rick. But I think he's going to break through the gates, and I think he's going to be taken prisoner. So I think that that's going to happen to him, and that's why he is going to be captured when the season begins. So I think we're going to have that happening. And I also predict that the first 3 or 4 episodes, and maybe more likely the first 3, I think they are going to involve the same day, but they're going to be doing different things. Because if you notice in the trailer, there's the kingdom in the woods and they're doing something. And then there's another scene where the hilltop people are actually inside what looks like an outpost. I think that what the communities planned on doing was like a 2 or 3 point assault. So basically, somebody knows where an outpost is at, another outpost, and I think that maybe the Hilltop and the Kingdom might attack one outpost together while Rick's group or a couple of other people take on the Sanctuary. And I think that's going to be happening at the same time, and I think we're going to see various different successes and failures from that, because there are scenes where people are getting shot, people are fighting with each other, wrestling. There's this part where Rick's, tackling somebody, being thrown up against a wall. So I think we're going to see that these plans will work somewhat and fail somewhat. Who knows what is going to happen. There are a couple of other interesting scenes that happen as well, but I think that really that's going to be the main thing. They're all going to take the war to the Saviors first. They're going to attack at different places. I think the first 3 or 4 episodes will take place over the exact same day, different places, different fights. And then after that, there will be certain successes, certain failures, and then they'll have to deal with the consequences from there. So that's what I think will happen. Now, some of the other important things I do want to mention from the trailer. Dwight is still getting messages. There's this one part where he gets a message that says tomorrow. Who he got it from, God only knows. But that may be a hint to him that there's going to be an attack tomorrow, so it might be warning him. A couple of other things. Eugene actually wasn't in the trailer at all. I'm pretty sure of that. I have watched it 3 or 4 times. I have not seen him yet. If somebody has seen him and I'm not looking carefully enough, tell me. But he was not featured in the trailer. So it does make me think that something is going to be happening with his character. And it would be so much of a spoiler to show it that they're keeping it hidden. So I noticed that. I also noticed there were a couple of scenes in the trailer where Jesus and Morgan were actually fighting, like Morgan, in a sense, losing it a little bit and trying to attack Jesus with his stick. So I think it shows that Morgan is definitely still a little unhinged. There are a couple things that he might be working through this season. So I did notice that happening. And other than that, some of the very last scenes before it cut and then went to a big scene, there was actually a scene where there were these vehicles driving away or driving down the road, and Rick seems to be driving this Jeep, and he's about to get, closing in on the truck, and I'm assuming it might be Negan in there. It could be a Savior. It could be Dwight. God only knows, but I'm anxious to see who's behind the wheel of that truck, because Rick just dives into the truck, and we don't know who's in it or what happens, but it seemed really action-packed, so I can't wait to see that. Now, if that wasn't exciting enough, they did a further scene, which they often do. They do the Walking Dead logo, and then they always seem to throw in 1 or 2 other scenes afterwards to kind of tie a couple things in. And this time, everything at the beginning of the trailer, for most of it, is very intense. The music's very intense, scary. You're anticipating, you're on the edge of your seat. And then all of a sudden, it's this calm, serene type of music. And you see a cane laying against a wall. And then you see a blurry scene in the background, and there's flowers on a table. And then it closes over like the top. So in a sense, it would almost be like, you getting on top of a bed and holding a camera down on the person laying on it. And you see Rick laying in a bed. And Rick, he's got like a little bit of a shorter haircut, maybe more like a buzz cut. His beard is actually straighter and longer, probably comes down to here. And he opens his eyes. And I'm wondering, what is this? What's going on here? And, there are a couple thoughts I have about that. And I'll share them real quick, but then I hope to dive in a little bit more whenever I do a further review of some of these scenes. I think that either what this scene is doing, it's either Rick dreaming, maybe he's having dreams about an alternate future where he wakes up, the world's not as messed up, something like that. It could be that he might be having some kind of or they might be teasing, hey, this was a dream after all. Rick's actually been in that hospital bed and this is him waking up. Hey, surprise. They might be trying to play a little bit of a head game with us, making us think, oh God, it's been a dream the whole time. Shoot, could be that. The third option is it could be a flash forward, or it could be something that happens in the future, because that picture, the way that Rick looks, it looks exactly like how Rick does in the comic books after the war is over. When the war ends, there's a time jump, and Rick has a shorter hairstyle and his beard is longer like that. So it could just be that they're throwing it in there to make it seem like it's a dream, or it's something else, or it's, hey, Rick's actually been in a coma and he's waking up finally and haha. Or it's going to be, in a sense, they're going to show that at the beginning or at some point during the season, and it's actually going to be that season 8 is, in a sense, a flashback, that they're just going to play it like it's Rick remembering what happened, the war takes its toll, and again, maybe the last scene of season 8, the very last scene, could be Rick, waking up, starting in a brand new community, brand new world, everything's peaceful again, and could go from there. There's a lot of options there, but that scene was definitely shocking to see in the trailer. So let me know what you guys think. Is there anything I missed? Are there things you agree with? Are there other things that maybe you would like to add? Don't be afraid to comment and let me know. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming, and if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.